Hello, and in today's video we are doing an FPL preview for game week number 6. Yes, that's right, we're back with FPL content. Sorry, I was just getting some FPL leaked team lineups. We're back with FPL content for the 2023-24 season, and in today's video we're going to show you my team selection for game week 6. There's a few things to get through, so I'll try and speed through it as quickly as possible, but if you do go on to the live stream, obviously don't forget today the deadline is 1:30 p.m, so lock in those teams ahead of that slightly different deadline. But we're coming to you, obviously it's 12 o'clock, still a bit of time before deadline, but I just thought I'd let you know, 1:30, don't forget. So obviously there's the possible team leaks for Manchester City as well against Nottingham Forest. You know, some people will be available for them, some people won't. That's unfortunately life, but it is what it is. If you can stay, if possible, to hear those team news leaks that might come. I mean, the thing is, if they come at 12:50 or 1, that'll be all right. If they come at 1:23, 7 minutes before deadline, the site could very well crash. And we've seen it in previous seasons, especially last season. There was a lot of teams being leaked, and especially when it came to Man City, it was very last minute, and things can ultimately not go to plan. So yeah, I'd be cautious to not have too much resting on that, but at the same time, if you're around available, in the house with Wi-Fi, then great, you can have a little look at the leaks. But the reason for that is, of course, we'll want those Man City players ahead of a nice juicy fixture against Nottingham Forest at the Etihad. So yeah, watch out for that. But before I do get into my game week 6 team selection, little look back at game week 5, of course, as always. I did do a game week 5 team selection video last week, and thanks for all those that watched it. Also, FPL Juice, they do that Juiceception stream where they hop onto different channels from different FPL content creators, and I really appreciate it, FPL Juice. They hopped onto my game week 5 team selection for a little period, so I really do thank you for that. But yeah, as I said, it was a crazy game week. A lot of people had terrible scores. I was one of them, unfortunately. Not awful, but also, because when I say not awful, there were some people in the 20s and the low 30s, but I got 38 in the end, which was okay. On paper, it still looks a great team. It was just a very unfortunate game week of variance. But, we don't get too knee-jerky about this thing. We saw in the last season, right, go back to 22-23, around game week 6, game week 5, people had awful game weeks, and then I was one of them. I wildcarded too much of a knee-jerk decision, and then it was literally as that Manchester United-Arsenal game finished in game week 6, I activated the wildcard for game week 7. Too knee-jerk, too emotional, and what happened after that? Well, I couldn't have known this would happen, but of course Queen Elizabeth II did pass away, so the games got called off, and so there was a whole week of no football, and so then I was just on wildcard, but not really making any transfers, and then the next week, my wildcard was properly active, but it was okay. I got like 60 points, nothing special. But ultimately, it just shows that sometimes you shouldn't rush into decisions because things can happen. I'm not going to say an alien's going to invade this time, but you know what I mean. Sometimes, even when it's a tough game week, you've got to just trust the process, trust in your decision making. And actually, most of us have all got very good teams. It's just, as I say, it was a weird week of variance. But talking of game week 6, which we're about to preview, this is the first week where we're going to be having some FPL content. So yes, I will be going back and having a bit more of a busy life. I've got going back to uni, so I won't be unfortunately doing as many of these videos. I'll do as much as I can here or there, but it won't be that often. Now, I have to see whether or not I can post those podcasts that I'll be doing as videos. Whether or not it will just be podcasts, probably will be, but we'll have to see. I'll let you know if in a future video when I do get around to it, if that is the case. But the plan is, I'm going to be doing an FPL podcast with a friend at uni called Chris. He's a top guy, so make sure you follow him on Instagram ahead of our first episode releasing, which will be next week. So we'll be doing a game week 6 review, previewing the double game week 7. Of course, 2 teams double in that game week, Luton and Burnley. Not sure you're going to want to be going near it, especially with Lyle Foster ruled out for Burnley and Callum Morris. No, what I meant to say was Carlton Morris, close enough. And also for Luton, the likes of Kabore, but you're not going to want to go anywhere near Luton because they've just been awful. So yeah, I would just say avoid as much as possible with them, unless you've got maybe Bayer on your bench from Burnley who can come in for the double. But ultimately, it's going to be interesting. So we're going to be previewing double game week 7. and also answering any questions. So I'm going to send out a tweet on Monday or Sunday evening. Any questions you've got about Game Week 7, put them, your answers and your questions, in that tweet. Reply to that. So make sure you follow me on Twitter at RobertoHollis9 for to get the notifications for that. But yeah, we're going to be really excited, going to go for it, and going to introduce ourselves on the socials. So as I said, this is a little introduction to the social account to follow, but the social account to follow for Chris on Instagram, he is Chris Sebastian, all lowercase, Chris Sebastian _ sports journo. So yeah, all lowercase, Chris Sebastian _ sports journo. Follow him on Instagram to get the latest updates on the new podcast we'll be doing. It's called the Form is Temporary podcast. So search into Spotify, you'll see the trailer. It's about 20 seconds long. But yeah, hopefully if you follow that, turn notifications on so you don't miss an episode, and the first episode would hopefully be coming out then. So yeah, hope you do enjoy it once it is out. And yeah, if you do want to join the mini league as well, we're going to be setting up a mini league for that podcast, so listeners of that podcast can go for that. So obviously, don't join the Form is Temporary podcast mini league unless you're, of course, listening to the podcast every week. See what I did there? But yeah, if you do want to join the podcast league, then the code is, as you can see on the screen, it is all lower caps once again, BY6IUW. But only join that if you're seriously going to follow us on Spotify. I appreciate all the support I've got about that, the podcast. It's really, really great to see. So hopefully it can go well and we can enjoy doing that. It should be a good little fun thing to do as a little, away from work and all that. So yeah, should be good. And then let's talk about Game Week 6 then, shall we? So Game Week 6, what are we saying for this game week? Well, sorry, I'm just going to get my my Game Week points up quickly, just to quickly reflect on what was, as I said, a pretty awful and pretty hard to take Game Week 5. So yeah, we're just getting our points up now. So here we go, Game Week 5, it was 38 points, tough one to take. That Game Week rank is not nice to see, of course, but I think everyone was in the same boat. 7.5 million Game Week rank. As I say, it was a weird week for variance. Turner, 2-pointer, that was frustrating, I can't lie, because ultimately I played him over Onana thinking, yeah, good fixture at home to Burnley. He made a couple of really good saves, especially that one. There was a long shot that came in and he just tipped around the post, and I thought, my guy Turner, going to get those clean sheet points after having his child, his little baby daughter. I thought maybe he might not even start the game with the threat of their new keeper coming in from Benfica. They've signed Vlachodimos, and he's definitely a solid goalkeeper. Wonder when he will replace Turner. I hope he doesn't, but maybe Turner's got at least a few weeks in him. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, frustrating. He gets that clean sheet wipeout, and to be fair, he couldn't have done a lot about it. It was a fantastic finish from Anduni. But yeah, it's just frustrating when you see that good fixture, and it's waiting the whole weekend for that game. You just think, yeah, go on, nice 10-pointer, get me that green arrow, because it was about 10 points the gap for me to get a safety score, green arrow. So yeah, it's just never going to work with the 2-pointer. But oh well, it was one of those weeks, so we live and learn. But my goalkeeper that I had on my bench, of course, I had a feeling would concede, was Onana, who has been an absolute nightmare for me. Andre Onana so far this FPL season, apart from Game Week 1 where he got that 9-pointer where he really shouldn't have done with the crazy penalty that should have been against Wolves. I was like, okay, that's good, a sign of hopefully things to come with the save points he was getting in that game, the bonus points for the pass completion, he plays out with his feet, all the good signs, right? And then from Game Week 2 onwards, he has just been abysmal. Manchester United have been abysmal. I mean, what an absolute mess of a club right now that is. So yeah, Onana is just one that I'm really frustrated about, want to sell, but he's just not a priority transfer when there's other fires, as you can see in my defence there. So yeah, unfortunately, I think up until wildcard, which could be in a few weeks' time, we'll have to wait and see what we do with that. There's possible gaps like Game Week 8, Game Week 9, Game Week 10. One of those weeks I might wildcard because there's a nice fixture swing. And then I could just change the keepers then. But for now, yeah, Turner's a bit of a frustrating one. Chilwell, even more frustrating, right? Because this guy is somehow deciding to not get any attacking returns since he's been in my team. I mean, when he was doing really well Game Week 1, I didn't own him. It was awful to watch. Got a goal disallowed, got the assist, looked really great. And I thought, yep, he's going to keep getting those attacking returns. So I'm going to be really hiding behind the sofa. Held off on the transfer in Game Week 2. Then he got early subbed against West Ham, and everyone was like, "Oh, this is not good." But then I was still confident he would get the start as he did against Luton and get those attacking returns. But he decides to not even shoot. He decides to pass to Sterling when he's through on goal. So that was just frustrating. He got the only 6 points when it could have been so much more against Luton. And then after that, I mean, it's just been not good for Chelsea at all. I mean, that one losing game and everyone expecting Chelsea to be back to their best. No, come on. It's Luton. Everyone can beat Luton 3-0. So ultimately, yeah, Chilwell has been really frustrating at the moment. Chelsea have been defensively all over the shop. But we have him not for the clean sheets, really. It's for those attacking threat. And when he's not starting the Bournemouth game, now, I heard that it was a knock. That is a bit of a doubtful one because that's not what was reported. But what was reported by the Sky commentators Bill Leslie on the game on Super Sunday at Bournemouth was that Bill Leslie said that Poch had said there was a slight knock on Chilwell. That was what Let's Talk FPL Andy tweeted out. So there's a slight knock, we think. So that was why he didn't start the game. But then, obviously, he gets subbed on, then gets a yellow card, and so finishes on 0 points. Absolute shambles. So everyone thinking that he's a rotation risk, possibly. That wasn't the reason he was benched, a rotation against Bournemouth. It was apparently a slight knock, but going forward there is a rotation risk there. With Poch's comments about Mudryk playing at left wing, maybe Chilwell can alternate with him. It's not ideal, right? Because you've got Colwill playing at left back at the moment. So Chilwell is a headache that I don't really like to see, but at the same time there are bigger fires, as I said with Onana. So it's not ideal, but I might just have to hold him, especially when he's got great fixtures coming up. It's just not one that I have to deal with at the moment, I don't think, unless something massively drastic changes and he just gets benched for a lot of games. Udogie was my transfer in this week. Now, on paper, it looked brilliant. Home to Sheffield United, the team that can't score goals, especially away from home. But, yes, Tottenham decide to concede. Brilliant. Thanks for that, Tottenham. I didn't trust Tottenham's defence at the start of the season, hence I didn't have any of their defenders. And they've looked really good defensively this season, actually. They've kept a clean sheet against United, kept a clean sheet against... who else did they keep a clean sheet against? It was... Bournemouth, Gameweek 3, yeah. So there was a few good signs to their defence. And of course, we know we're not really going for Udogie for the clean sheets. It's for the attacking threat he's had. He's been so good this season, Destiny Udogie. And fair play, those that went on in Gameweek 1 because, yeah, he's been a bit of a gem. The kind of 4.0... 4.5 cheap defender of choice, really. Because Malo Gusto's done all right at Chelsea, but it was one game against Luton, and Reece James is still out injured, but he might come back soon. So yeah, Udogie's really the one. I love him. But this week it just didn't pay off. It's this unfortunate transfer. I took out a player who I needed to sell. Really, just wasn't really getting the returns that I was expecting. And ultimately, when I look at it, I think, would I have done that transfer even if I'd have known Sheffield United would have scored? Probably still would have. As I say, I got that transfer for the attacking threat. It's just unlucky that this was the week decided that Sheffield United would actually score a goal. So it's just one of those things. But I took out Baldock because I knew that Sheffield United going forward defensively are just not good, and Baldock was flagged, I think. So yeah, Udogie came in, but good for long term. Obviously, Spurs' defence is a bit up and down, but he's there for the attacking threat. And obviously, I knew I was going to have to bench him in the game week 6 and 7, but he's there for the long term. So then we've got Rico Henry. Obviously, started the game against Newcastle. I was thinking, this guy's got to do big bits for me because I didn't start him. He was my first sub, Henry. I had Estupinian as my third defender, and when I saw Estupinian was benched, I was shocked because there's a stat about Estupinian that he's never been benched or not in the squad after an international break. So I was like, there was talks about Estupinian coming back from international, being a bit tired, but I didn't think that would stop De Zerbi from starting him. But no, he wasn't even in the squad as Estupinian. So Henry came in as my, super sub. But then I'm watching that Newcastle game, I'm thinking, this could be tasty for Henry. They're playing that back five. He's playing as that attacking wing back. That's why we like Rico Henry. But disaster strikes and he gets injured out for the season. I mean, it's just so unlucky. So, he's going to be one on the chopping block this week for sure with that injury. Really sad for him, to be honest, because he's a fantastic player for Brentford and they don't really have an attacking fullback like him. So, gutting to see that 1-pointer after about 41 minutes. The defence, not exactly ideal, but as I say, it was just 1 week for variance, I think. Midfield, though, now Mbumo did well for me a couple of weeks ago, got that nice late goal against Bournemouth. I think he is still a very good hold. Newcastle was a tricky fixture, so I'm not too concerned about him blanking there. Brentford, as I say, they're a bit up and down with their form in terms of scoring. Wissa's not exactly looked great recently, but Mbeumo, I'm still confident he's a good pick, so patience with him. Maddison, I mean, look, at the end of the day, some people captain Tottenham players. I'm glad I didn't in the end. I wasn't really ever thinking going against Haaland, but some people went for Maddison, and that was unlucky. Got the yellow card. It's just a weird week of variance, as I said. Sheffield United, look, Maddison still played well. It just didn't get the attacking returns. But yeah, even in these trickier fixtures, Maddison, you would say, is still suited for him because he's just so much the central focus of that Spurs attack. Saka against Everton, look, I was hoping for a bit more than just the assist, but to be honest, in a week like this, assist was amazing, right? So got the assist for Trossard's goal, nice assist. Saka, for me, is just fixture proof, so he could be, well, one that leaves on wildcard because Arsenal's fixtures do get worse, but for now at least he's still staying in my team. And I know some people have looked at Trossard. I just don't know if Trossard's going to be minutes safe for long term, because I know we know Martinelli's out injured. I'm glad I sold him a couple of weeks ago, but ultimately Martinelli, of course, being out does not guarantee Trossard to start every week. They've still got Jesus. They might start Jesus alongside Nketiah. We just don't know, right? So Trossard, not bad, but I'm not too keen on him. But ultimately, Saka's the one. He starts every game. You know he's on penalties. Or at least shares him with Ødegaard. That's good enough for me. Mitoma, okay, this is a frustrating one because when I saw United defensively all over the shop, I thought surely Mitoma's going to cash in with some points. In the end, it didn't happen, but as I say, Mitoma's one that I'm just not going to get worried about because we know how good he's been this season in FPL. Got a lot of goals, got a lot of assists, so he's still a very good asset for me. And then Fernandes, this guy is really testing my patience. I'd team named him at the start of the season. Bruno dos Tres is my team name, and I had full faith in Bruno as an asset this season with how creative he was last year. I thought 8.5, absolute steal. This season he's been terrible. He's been absolutely terrible, but it's probably just more a bigger issue at Manchester United being terrible. From an FPL perspective, yeah, he's not been good. From a football perspective, I feel for him because he's picking up all the pieces of that barren team, and he had to play centre-back at times against Brighton because there was just no defence. There's just no midfield either. So, yeah, I feel for him, but it's not really on him that it's been bad. It's just the team he's struggling in, right? And Fernandes, you know, is not as attacking at times as Rashford is, and Rashford is the one that I went without at the start of the season, took that effective ownership risk, and it has paid off, right? Rashford's been underwhelming, but at the end of the day, going forward, if I had to own a United attacker, it might be Rashford. So that is one we could think about on a wild card. But for now, I'm happy to keep just one more week, right? One more week of patience for Bruno. He's got Burnley away. Surely he returns. If he doesn't, then we may well have to consider selling for someone like Salah, who, to be fair to Salah, even though he's not been great with hauls, he has been just consistent. 1 goal, 1 assist, which is a lot to pay for a 12.5 million midfielder, but yeah, it's been better form than Fernandes, that's for sure, other than his penalty against Forest. So yeah, it is what it is. We're going to have to wait and see. Haaland on the captaincy, of course, with the goal, but he should have had so much more. I mean, how he only got 1 goal, he had expected goals of something like 2.36 or something. It was like he should have at least had a couple. So yeah, really disappointing to not get more. But you know what? In a week like this, to get a captaincy return, we'll take that. And then Alvarez, my differential. Everyone basically stumbling to get Alvarez this week. Well, I was 2 weeks early. Just call me a trendsetter. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, it's all about these differentials, and I love a differential. 9.8% owned at the time of buying in Gameweek 4, and he got that 14-pointer and then a 9-pointer. But people are surprised that he's been starting. I haven't been. Since Gameweek 1, when KDB got injured, you know, that's freed up a role in the team for him to start alongside Haaland, and he's so key to that attack. So, yeah, love that from Alvarez. Then also we've got Onana, who, as I say, got the same as Turner, so it didn't really matter in the end. But yeah, he's staring me in the face frustratingly. Estupiñán obviously was not playing, so he was first sub after Henry came in with the 1 point. Yeah, brilliant, thanks for that. Mark Gay was still out injured, however, it's looking good for him this weekend, so it does leave a bit of a headache for my defence this week, whether I play Gay at home to Fulham with a decent fixture, maybe a clean sheet, we'll have to see. And then Mubama, obviously, as always, is the third sub, doesn't really matter, he doesn't play. So let's move on to my Game Week 5. That Game Week 5, as I say, it's overall rank 1.766, 65 I should say, 1.7 million, not great to start the season, but I'm in a better company than a lot of big FPL content creators, so to be honest, I will take it. So, game week 6 then, let's get into it. This is what we're saying for match week number 6 for my FPL team. Now, I know you're going to say, Anana's a troll, don't have him as your team goalkeeper, but to be honest, what choice do I have? He's got Burnley away. Now, Burnley, to be fair to them, looked better against Nottingham Forest. Koleosho, I thought, was fantastic on that left wing. But would it surprise me to be sitting here, a few weeks away and Anana's conceded in this game? Absolutely not. But it's a good fixture. If he keeps a clean sheet and I sell him, I'll be fuming. So I'm just going to have to roll with it, I think, ultimately. It's frustrating, but hopefully Burnley can, not score. They haven't scored too many goals, actually, at Turf Moor so far, so we should be okay, I think. With Lara Foster out as well, that does help things. Just got to hope for some save points and sort of some bonus points somewhere. But its defence has just been awful, so I'm not exactly feeling optimistic about that. Then the defence, Chilwell has a bit of a headache with the comments about Mudryk and Villa at home. That's easily a clean sheet wipeout. I can see it. Villa have been so good. But Chilwell is there for the attacking threat, and I think just start him, because if you bench him, there's a good chance you could regret it with how attacking he is. So, I don't know. It's a tough one. Are some people selling him? I don't know. The fixtures are still quite good, so I'm willing to keep at least until game week 9, I think. But yeah, I'm going to start him, see how it goes. We'll have to see if Chelsea can get their act together defensively. Then Rico Henry against Everton would have been a great fixture, hence I had him for this game week. But no, he decides to get himself ruled out for the season, so he's coming out for a defender. We'll have to see who I bring in. Estupiñán at home to Bournemouth, great fixture. I hope for a clean sheet for Brighton. I'm not that confident on their defence because they don't get many clean sheets, but Estupiñán's for attacking threat. Hopefully will start again. I think he will. He's had his rest now, I would imagine. But yeah, Bournemouth at home, nice fixture. Defensively, they're not the most solid Bournemouth, so I think hopefully Estupiñán can get a juicy haul there. Midfield, Mbeumo is actually facing an Everton side that defensively are a mess. So even though I haven't got Henry for that game, I at least have Mbeumo. Hopefully he gets me a nice big haul. He's on the vice captaincy at the moment just because I feel good fixture, good asset, proven this season in Mbeumo, but we'll have to see whether or not he gets the big haul. Then Mitoma at home to Bournemouth, nice fixture for Kaoru Mitoma. I think ultimately I wanted to save him. I didn't want to sell him a couple of weeks ago like many have done, because this fixture, if he does start the game, which I would imagine he would, even though they just had Europa League, they're not going to bench Mitoma, I would imagine. Famous last words, of course. But João Pedro obviously looked great. He's too much for a minute's risk, I think. As much as he looked good against Man United off the bench, he's not starting games, and he did score a couple in the Europa League. Love that guy. But ultimately, yeah, for FPL teams, it's just too much of a headache with him and Ansu Fati as well. But yeah, hopefully Mitoma a haul against a pretty leaky Bournemouth team, I think. Fernandes is frustrating, of course, but let's just hope he gets a penalty or something like that and gets a nice double-digit score. I have to think that United's form will at least not be any worse than it is right now with a better fixture run. You would hope so, right? Because the fixtures haven't been easy for Man United, to be fair to them, but they have been drastically poor. Then we've got Maddison against a team in the shape of Arsenal that actually will concede. I think generally Spurs will look great attack, and they'll go to the Emirates thinking they can score some goals there. Maddison's so influential, so I wouldn't panic about the fixture for Maddison. Then Saka, the same thing. Tottenham at home, okay, it's fine, but Saka's on penalties. He's so key to the Arsenal attack. He stays in there for me. Lovely jubbly. Now we've got front two of Julian Alvarez, who, to be fair, might not start against Forest. There is talk of it because he played in midweek Champions League, looked brilliant in the Champions League, hence why I've owned him for the couple of weeks I have. But yeah, ultimately, I don't know whether he'll start. We'll have to see if there's team leaks, but let's see. If he does start, though, big haul potential against that Forest defence. And Alvarez, obviously, did score a couple against them last season in this fixture, and will, of course, remember, so did Erling Haaland, hat-trick against them last season in the first half. So, no doubt in the captaincy, he is my captain, Erling Haaland. And then in the defence, for the bench, we've got Udogie and Mark Guéhi. Now, Mark Guéhi, to be fair, is looking like he's going to be back fit for this game. So, I'm going to just do a quick sub for my defence bench options, because I think Udogie against Arsenal could well concede. But Mark Guéhi, I'm regretting possibly I could have just done Guéhi to start and Henry on the bench and then not make a transfer, but I do feel that Henry is one I need to deal with now. And although Gay could well keep a clean sheet in that fixture, he's not got as much attacking threat, so I think it just makes more sense to not start him. If I had someone like Estupinian who had a tough game, of course I would have benched him. Or also I could have benched Chilwell, but I just think the threat attackingly is too much over the clean sheet from Gay. But we'll have to see whether or not that does backfire, that decision. But yeah, first sub is Mark Gay. And then I've got Turner, of course, against Man City is tough. And then Udogie against Arsenal is tough. And then, of course, Mubama, who doesn't play. So that's my team selection. Transfer, let's lock in the transfer for this game week. I'm going to make it for Rico Henry. And I've considered a few options, to be honest. The likes of Fabian Schär, the likes of Botman. But I think when it comes to it, Fabian Schär is my man because he is differential. I like a good differential. We know this by now. And he has attacking threat that Botman doesn't, right? So I'm hoping for that reason he can get the returns against Sheffield United, who are leaky from set pieces. So bullet header from Fabian Schär. That would be lovely stuff. Schär, come on, mate. Do you believe in life after love? Is that Schär? I don't know. But I'm just hoping I won't be saying, if only we could turn back time with a nice, well, not nice, but a terrible haul, right? Let's hope we don't have to turn back time, and let's hope it's simply the best for my team. I don't know why I've done Tina Turner there. That was Turner last week, but no, he simply wasn't the best. But hopefully this week, Fabian Schär can be that. So Fabian Schär, my transfer in this week for Rico Henry. I don't think I need to take a hit, though, because the rest of the team looks pretty strong. Let's just make that transfer then. 1-3, confirm, bish bash bosh, Schär is in. So he is in as part of that defence. I'm pretty confident in that 11 for game week number 6. I hope you have enjoyed. Smash a like on the video if you have. What are your comments? What are you saying for your transfers this week? Get it in the section below. And I'll see you in the next one, which might be in a while. But as I said, do smash a like on the video. Get your thoughts on my FPL podcast. The form is temporary. Coming on next week, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, probably Wednesday or Thursday, around that time. So do smash a like on it. I'll see you in the next one, and bye-bye.